Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We have a very interesting topic this evening and an unusual one. And we're taking this from Swami Kriyananda's book, Affirmations for Self-Healing. And our interesting topic is alertness. It's not one that we think about that much, perhaps. But it's very interesting how Swamiji has approached this. Let's listen to his words first. There are two currents in life. One takes us downward toward unconsciousness. The other upward toward cosmic consciousness. The first is an impulse born of the sense, that is, the first being the current that takes us downward. The first is an impulse born of the sense of past familiarity. Life, like a lotus, evolves out of the mud of lower consciousness toward the light of divine awareness. Subconsciously, we imagine ourselves comfortable with the stages we've traversed so far. But we are not always so ready for the adventure of further growth. The second current in life is the soul's impulse. We cannot find happiness in turning back toward the mud. Fulfillment lies only in reaching up toward perfect divine awareness. To achieve it, we must be alert in everything we do, for in the flow of increasing wakefulness lies the joy that we are all seeking. Yogananda ji made a very interesting statement when he said that thoughts are not universally rooted. They're not individually rooted. They're universal. They're universally rooted. In other words, that brilliant idea that I had, or that negative and terrible idea I had or thought or fear, none of these really originate with ourselves. Rather, we're picking up. The thought is in the ether. That negative or positive energy is just there, like radio waves. And we turn our dial. We tune our dial to one current of energy or another. And this is also a great comfort, because we can feel so bad, so guilty over the mistakes that we've made, over the bad things that we have done. And yet, in a certain sense, they're not our responsibility. In a certain sense, they didn't originate with us. We were passive. We allowed ourselves to go into that negative direction that didn't bring us happiness and perhaps hurt other people along the way as well. And so that this means that if we attune ourselves to a different current, then we can change our habit patterns. We can have a more positive outlook. It's said jokingly that there's two kinds of people in the world. Those who, when it's time to get up, they're the toast that pops up out of the toaster, and they're just awake and they're ready for anything. And then there's the baked potatoes, who would like nothing more than just to turn over and go back to sleep again. And sometimes we exhibit both of these currents of energy. But it's wrong to say that there's these two types of people, because people can change. Because we're not innately a baked potato throughout all of our lives, we can change. We can attune to a more wakeful current. I would say that I used to be a baked potato most of the time, or maybe all the time. And now I'm a toast almost all of the time. Simply because I wanted to change. I wanted to change for the positive. And so too, we have that freedom. We have the freedom to choose a current of energy. Now, it's interesting that Swamiji here is not just talking negative or positive. He's talking subconscious, less aware, versus more aware, awake, going towards the divine consciousness. And this is another way of looking at things. When Yogananda ji, when he would lecture to the public with a big audience, he would often not walk out on the stage, not stand on the stage while the curtains parted. Rather, he ran on the stage with full energy and full force and vigor. And he would shout to his audience, and he would say, "How feels everyone?" And he would wait for them to respond with the words, "Awake and ready." And he would say, "How is everyone?" And wait for them to respond with enough enthusiasm, "Awake and ready." And it's like then he could see that they were receptive. They wanted to listen. They wanted to hear what he had to say. They were not kind of sleepy and thinking of themselves. They were awake and they were ready. And so this is how we want to be. And what happens when those people affirmed, "I am awake and ready," just that affirmation in a loud voice shouting was enough to make them more awake and more ready. And so see how easy our consciousness can be changed when we choose to. And we may feel sometimes, "Oh, I have so many choices. I don't know if I should do this, or then I could also do this or that." But Swamiji here tells us that there really aren't so many choices. There are just two currents in life. One that leads back into the mud, that leads back into the subconscious, and the other that makes us more awake, more alert, and more conscious. And after a while, enough trial and error, we find that that's what we want. Everybody in the world is seeking happiness, or on the lowest level, they're seeking to avoid pain and to have more pleasure. And then little by little, the soul learns what things give happiness, what things give pain. And we really have only those two choices. And ultimately, when we learn, when we distinguish what gives us happiness, then we have only one choice. And it makes it so clear and so simple. And what can be useful for us is to ask ourselves, what will make me more alert, and more aware and bring me more happiness. And to affirm that alertness and to go into the situations of life feeling awake and ready, alert and enthusiastic. And at first we have to affirm these things, and then later we just feel them more and more of the time. In this line, let us affirm these things. And please affirm after me with lots of energy and enthusiasm in a loud voice. I am awake, energetic, enthusiastic. I give my full alert attention to everything I do, knowing that in absolute consciousness, I shall find God. I am awake, energetic, enthusiastic. I give my full alert attention to everything I do, knowing that in absolute consciousness, I shall find God. Now in a whisper, but an enthusiastic whisper. I am awake, energetic, enthusiastic. I give my full alert attention to everything I do, knowing that in absolute consciousness, I shall find God. Now mentally only bring this dynamic thought into the superconscious. So mentally only repeat, I am awake, energetic, enthusiastic. I give my full alert attention to everything I do, knowing that in absolute consciousness, I shall find God. And let's pray mentally also. Let me pray always with alert, awake attention to your listening presence, knowing that you hear the merest whisper of my thoughts. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much for joining me this evening.